So what I'd like to do is discuss a little bit about our scholars. We've assembled a number of them. Now, I will get into them at greater length, but we'll begin with our first speaker, Joe Gulsvig. Joe Gulsvig is with Ratio Christi. He works on college campuses and has firsthand experiences with sort of thought trafficking. What do people believe at universities? This is a very significant question. The young people of America are the next generation. To them, we will hand the baton of power. We will hand the baton of our constitutional republic, and it is a big responsibility. But as they receive it, what are they going to do with it? What will they believe? And the future, friends, is right around the corner. So what we're going to do is have Joe speak a little bit about this. Now, he's well equipped to do it. As I said, his ministry concerns the campus, that is true, but he also has a very good educational background. He's pursuing now an M.A. in apologetics from Luther Rice University. He has a B.A. in religious studies and pastoral ministry from Luther Rice, and has other degrees in business, and even some background, Joe, in, if I have this right, at the Naval Tech School. And so that'll be interesting if he wants to share a little bit about that as well. Joe is presently the regional director of the New England Ratio Christi ministry. Would you join me in welcoming Joe Gulsvig as he tells us a bit more about this unique ministry and what is going on our universities? Joe?
Thank you. Do you need to use this one here?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good morning. Can you hear me all right? Do I need to speak into this or? Yes. Okay. Thanks, John, for that great introduction. I really appreciate what you do here at the New England School of Theology, and all the work you've done in putting together this conference today. I really appreciate that. I know there's many people who are helping you, and that it couldn't be done without that, but you really put into a lot of effort into getting us all together today, and I appreciate that. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to talk to you today about a ministry that we feel is vital for the body of Christ in the 21st century. And that's defending truth and Christianity at the university. But instead of me standing here and giving you a big spiel about who we are and what we do, I'd like to show you a short video that was produced by some college kids that are actually have formed one of our clubs. They'll do a much better job than I do at giving you a quick overview, and then afterwards I'll go through a few points, and then we'll have an opportunity for some questions, if that sounds fair. So, without further ado, I'll turn it over to Rhonda, and she'll play this for you.
If I could have a moment of your time, I would like to bring to your attention a very serious issue. The intellectual viability of the Christian worldview is being challenged in the classrooms by other students, and even the professors. This is accomplished by anti-religious campus organizations and gatherings.
Look in a mirror and understand the delusion of Christianity. Once you can see what is going on, the hope is that you will be able to start healing your delusion. With each healing, we make our world a better place.
Best-selling books by famous atheistic professors geared toward college students. And speeches promoting militant atheism.
These people, the reflective people, they know there aren't any good reasons to believe in God. We've got them on the run. We're almost there. We're almost there.
All done with one goal in mind: make religion look stupid while recruiting students to the secular worldview.
We call the world's most famous atheist, Richard Dawkins.
I can't tell you how excited I am to see students taking up the banner of secularism. And the Secular Student Alliance is carrying the banner forward, and it is very, very exciting to all of us in the movement to see young people involved. Young people involved.
And it's working. Statistics show that up to 80% of professing Christians will walk away from their faith while attending secular colleges and universities, many within the first year. They simply are not intellectually prepared to face the onslaught of even the most basic objections to the Christian worldview. How do you know that Jesus is the only way?
This is a tough question.
Why the contradictions if the Bible's the Word of God? I mean, why not believe in Muhammad with what he says? I mean, so what makes the Bible so different?
Well, that's a good question. You know what? I'm gonna have to pass on my question for now.
We are losing the battle for our students. We need a solution to win back the universities for the cause of Christ.
Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. This is what the Lord asks of all Christians to do in 1 Peter 3:15. Hi, my name's Jenna and I'm a part of a university organization called Ratio Christi, which trains us to do just that. Ratio Christi is a non-profit student apologetics organization spreading a renaissance of Christian thought throughout secular universities around the world. Apologetics is the science and art of defending the faith using logic and reason while sharing the Christian worldview. The purpose of Ratio Christi is to train, educate, and equip students on the principles of how to think, not what to think.
I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the first ever Ratio Christi debate featuring Dr. Michael Tooley and Dr. William Lane Craig.
Good evening, and thank you very much. I want to thank Ratio Christi. Now, in tonight's debate, I'm going to defend one basic contention, namely that the arguments for theism are better than the arguments for atheism.
Through weekly meetings, we aim to stimulate intellectual integrity with debate, lectures, dialogue, and discussion on the most pressing topics of our day. The secular worldview has spread throughout universities, having an impact on the way students perceive their own beliefs. Ratio Christi is here to equip Christian students in answering the questions of science, philosophy, history, and worldview. We want to achieve our goal of re-establishing Christian thinking in the academic setting. There are 3 ways in which you can help support Ratio Christi: through prayer, informing other Christians of the organization, and finally, donations. Ratio Christi relies on your financial support to help sustain the organization. So come help us win back the universities for the cause of Christ.
Let me share what one student said after participating in a Ratio Christi club at North Carolina State. Ratio Christi has given me something that I did not know exists: a rational and logical defense for my faith. When I dialogue with atheists, they are shocked I have a defense. When I run into skeptics, they are overwhelmed by the amount of evidence supporting creation. Last but not least, when I talk to Christians about this, they find that their belief has a strong historical foundation that cannot be shaken.
As a Ratio Christi chapter director, I have found this extremely exciting because I have seen lives transformed.
By coming to one of our organization meetings, you can actually meet solid, true Christians and ask questions and get the real truth, get down to the bottom nitty-gritty truth of what it means to be a Christian.
Not only can you be confident in your faith, but then you can defend it.
It's really given me a solid foundation to stand upon it. It's really given me confidence in my faith.
Those other people who are listening who may have doubts or may not be sure of their religion or choices yet, they can go, oh, there's another side.
It helps them meets these objections on a very intellectual level.
They are no longer afraid to come in confrontation with people who might disagree with them.
It's so easy to walk away from your faith if you don't know these answers, if you're unaware that there are answers out there.
And that we can know why we believe what we believe. This is powerful stuff.
So why believe? How can we know? Because it's based on truth. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. Wasn't it a great video? That was put together by a group of college kids. And like I said, I couldn't think in 7 minutes how I could ever present to you the vision and the mission of Ratio Christi any better than they've done right there. So that's really what Ratio Christi is about. Why do we believe what we believe? And again, it's because it's based on truth. There are reasons for our faith. In fact, that's literally what Ratio Christi, or if you prefer the Latin, I think William Lane Craig said it there in Ratio Christi, but that's literally what it means, is the reason of Christ. And God has given me the incredible privilege and honor to spearhead the effort to work here in New England with an incredible group of people, some of which you'll have an opportunity to meet today as they've come to kind of help me with this presentation. But we're all committed to advancing the cause of Christ at the universities all over the region. So what's the challenge? The challenge is that secular humanism has overtaken our culture. And neo-atheists are literally evangelizing our children. Take this gentleman here. His name is Bart Ehrman. He's the head of religious studies at UNC Chapel Hill. Now, he wrote a book about how the Gospels were made by fraud centuries later than the actual historical record. This gentleman is the head of religious studies at UNC Chapel Hill. In fact, one of our students in the chapter at Chapel Hill went there and took religious studies because he thought it'd be a good education to prepare him for seminary. And this is the guy that's teaching him. Here's a gentleman named Richard Rorty. Was very influential in the postmodernism movement in literature. Was the department chair at the University of Virginia in humanities. Now, he's deceased now, so I'm quite confident he's no longer an atheist. But this is the kind of guy who is teaching our children. Again, here's what he has to say to Christian parents. So we are going to go right on trying to discredit you in the eyes of your children, trying to strip your fundamentalist religious community of dignity, trying to make your views seem silly rather than discussable. And that's a telltale sign of the problem that we have at universities. Is the last thing that he said there, is that we want to make your views seem silly rather than discussable. And quite frankly, that's because they don't really want to have the discussion. Because if you have the discussion, then you have to confront the issue about what is true, what is truth, and how does that relate to the matters at hand. And unfortunately, they don't stand up very well against that. But the point is that they want to do their own proselytization of our children and make our views seem silly rather than discussable. So what's the reality of college at the college campus? That 1 out of 4 professors are either an avowed atheist or agnostic. Now that compares with about 1 to 5% of the general population. So your children, our youth, when they go to a college campus, a secular college campus, are 5 times more likely to be taught by an atheist or an agnostic than they are to run into the average person on the street. More than half of the college professors have unfavorable feelings towards evangelical Christianity. And over half of the professors believe that the Bible is an ancient book of fables, legends, historical morals, and precepts. Basically, a book of myths. So the key finding of research shows that the number one reason why children, our youth, leave the faith is because of intellectual skepticism and doubt. New atheists say loudly that Christianity is irrational. Statistics, as they mentioned in the video, show that anywhere from 51 to 80% of our youth born-again Christians lose their faith during college. And higher education openly promotes cynicism about truth, that truth even exists, and reason. So today, Christianity is widely rejected merely because it claims to be true. All of this is at a time when the rationale for the Christian worldview has never been stronger. Some of us went down to a national apologetics conference in North Carolina. And one of the most amazing things to me, one of the most uplifting things, is a common thread through this conference is that evolutionary theory and Darwinism it's dead. It's scientifically dead. They just haven't taken the pulse yet. And they'll continue to cling to it regardless of the truth value because it's necessary for their worldview. So what's our mandate? Sorry, I think I clicked some extra buttons there. Our mandate, as Jenna quoted, is 1 Peter 3:15, to always be prepared to make a defense for anyone that asks for the reason for the hope that's in you. And that word defense is the Greek word apologia. That's where we get the word apologetics. And contrary to the modern definition, an apology never meant to say I'm sorry. It meant to give a defense based on reason. Along with that, I'd encourage you to take a look at Acts chapter 17. And Paul's apologetic presented at Mars Hill is a textbook example of the kind of reason that we can present to help people see that the claims of Christianity are true. So what we're trying to do is to change the game on campus by establishing student clubs that are committed to apologetics. Now, this is different than most college campus ministries, and we're not just another campus ministry that's come along. I'm sure most of you have heard of Campus Crusade, Cru, InterVarsity, Chi Alpha. There's lots of good campus ministries, and we're not coming to compete with them or to replace them. We're a servant ministry that's there to come alongside them and specifically help them in the focus of apologetics. We don't provide complete discipleship ministry, and we partner with other ministries because we believe all the members of our club and the people attending need that, just as we need to attend churches. But our focus is like a laser beam on apologetics, basically sharing the reasoning and the truth of Christianity, examining the scientific, historical, and philosophical evidence, teaching them to use critical thinking skills. You know, most people don't realize we don't teach our children to think anymore. We teach them what to think. And I thought that was important when she pointed out in the video too. We don't teach people what to think. We teach people how to think so that they can discover truth for themselves. And in particularly engaging the ideas of the day. Because this is, at the college campuses, is where all of these issues come to the forefront. So the New England region, again, as I mentioned before, God has given me the incredible privilege to help spearhead the opportunity to work here. There's over 230 colleges and universities within New England. At the end of 2012, there was not one Ratio Christi chapter. So what have we been able to do? Well, God has really blessed us. We've been able to find 8 apologists to work on college campuses here in New England. We're creating momentum in New Hampshire, in Vermont, several campuses in Massachusetts, and 2 right here in Connecticut. And you'll have an opportunity to meet some of the folks that I have an opportunity to work with. 2 that are working in Connecticut. Duane is at Central Connecticut State University, and he'll be here with us today to, you can talk with him and ask him questions as well. I also have Rich is with me today from Middlesex Community College. These are people that are on the ground working to advance the cause of Christ by using apologetics to show the rationality for our faith. Basically, how a chapter works. You need students to form a chapter. That's really what this is all about, is helping students to have their faith grounded. I guess I need to do advanced again. That's probably what I did wrong last time. There we go. They get a constitution so that they're recognized by the university just like any other college campus clubs. You saw the example of the Student Secular Alliance. There's atheist clubs. There's, the gay, lesbian, transsexual. They're all on our campuses working to influence the thinking and the minds of our youth. And so that's part of our objective too, is to be a recognized club that can engage in that as well. A Ratio Christi director who's knowledgeable in apologetics. This is really a key component. These are student-led clubs, but it's very important to have somebody there who really is well-versed in the topics at hand and the resources that are available, and again, to help direct the conversation. One thing I'll share with you that I think is really interesting about our college clubs compared to any other Christian organization. The people that will show up at a Ratio Christi meeting would never, ever go to a crew meeting. Not all of them, but some of the people would never go to a crew meeting. They'd never go to InterVarsity. We have atheists that show up. We have skeptics that show up. And some of them are just showing up to pick a fight. But that's okay, because we have a chapter director there that's there to control the dialogue, and we want to have that discussion. We allow open debate. Most of you are probably aware that in the last 150 years, our college campuses have been a monologue of secular humanism, that there's only one voice being spoken to the youth there. And that's basically what we want to do is, again, begin that dialogue to let people know that there is another option. So we have people that show up, and we have a number of clubs that have atheists in regular attendance because they're interested in this stuff. That's another amazing thing to me. A lot of adults get bored with this stuff, and it goes right over their head, and what are you talking about, all this philosophy? The youth eat this up. They love to engage in this kind of thinking because it challenges them, and it goes contrary to what they've heard from the rest of the world for most of their lives. There's also a need for support groups. We need local churches, and we need local mentors, and we need people to come alongside these youths. They need churches to attend. They need small groups and that kind of support as well. And then faculty advisors to also help in the management of the groups. So here's some quick testimonies, because this is really where the rubber hits the road. How our lives being changed. Jennifer at UNC Charlotte says that Ratio Christi has provided an open atmosphere in which I can bring my questions about Christianity. Matt at UC Irvine in California, Ratio Christi has helped me to learn about the reasons why the Christian worldview stands head and shoulders above the rest. It's not, folks, it's not just that our worldview makes sense. It's not just that we have a good alternative. The Christian worldview has reason and a foundation in logic that is far beyond any other worldview that is out there. Our kids just haven't been taught that. Here's one of my favorite ones. This is Hans at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. He says, the amount of spiritual equipping that I've gone through has not only kept me from doubting my faith, but has started a passion in him to tell others about the many reasons for God's existence and love. And that to me is really one of the most incredible, one of the most incredible aspects of what Ratio Christi can do. It's not just about shoring up Christians and helping them to not walk away from their faith, but a Christian that was going to lose their faith during college and instead has Ratio Christi there to help them understand the reason, and it shores up and solidifies their faith. What are they going to do in their community, in their classrooms, on campus, in their dorms? What are they going to do when they go out into the community, in their churches and in their jobs and everything else for the next 10 or 15 years? That's what I call the multiplication effect. So how can you help? And you probably didn't realize the conference was going to start off with a plea, but I'm going to give you one. Because we want you, and we want to know if you'll help support Ratio Christi. As Jenna mentioned in the video, we need help financially. Quite frankly, there's no ministry that gets done without funding. It just doesn't happen, and we need that. We also need prayer and spiritual contribution. Students, as I mentioned, need churches. They need that kind of contribution. And to spread the word, to help us build a Ratio Christi support network. This isn't something one of us can do. It's not something that a chapter director at Central Connecticut can just take the charge and run with it. We need a network and a community that will help to support this so that it can be proliferated, not just on college campuses. Ratio Christi is an apologetics grassroots movement that focuses on college campuses for those two very important reasons: to stop the hemorrhaging of the church youth, because it's just having a tremendous impact, but also because academia is such a tremendous influence on our culture. We need that dialogue to begin. But beyond that, the way that I put it is that we want to see apologetics done anytime, any place, anywhere it can, because it's so vital in our current situation, our current culture. So that basically kind of sums up what I had to say today. I think we've got a couple of minutes so we can take a few questions if you have them. And yeah. Well, that is a great question, and that's kind of why I tagged on at the end. We really focus on, and our thrust so far has been college campuses for those two very important reasons, but really... Oh, I'm sorry. The question is it just college campuses, or do we do anything for high school or any other? And we do focus on college campuses. That's been our main thrust because of the two most important reasons. But again, we really want to be a grassroots apologetics resource for churches, for communities in general. But to your point specifically, we're just in the initial phases of a division called Ratio Christi College Prep, because we firmly believe that by the time we've gotten to college, the battle has already been fought. Okay, and so we're making up time, and we're working on that, and we firmly believe in it, but we really do want to focus on youth in middle school and high school and start college prep clubs so that long before they ever get to college, they have a foundation in apologetics and understanding of Christian faith. We do that through private and public schools. We'll do that through churches, through youth groups and things like that. It is in its pilot stages right now, but that's a great question. It is definitely something that we're focused on.
Let me just add that they have a booth set up in the fellowship hall, and if there are some additional questions that have to do with the ministry, at length you could kind of tackle them there, and I'm sure Joe and you have a few others, I think, that came today.
Absolutely.
They would be happy to do that at that time. So can you join me in thanking Joe?
Thank you very much.